Hi everyone. This week's topic's a very important one. I'm sure you'll all agree that play is so important in ECE environments, and play is particularly important with digital technologies and young children. So I believe that providing opportunities for play with digital and design technologies is critically important. Now, this paper is a research study, so have a close look at how these studies are formatted and presented, with some conclusions at the start, and then a bit of a literature review, then how the study was conducted, and that includes exactly what they've done, and then some findings. So we'll look at it to see whether we think this is a well done study and whether we agree with the types of findings that they came up with, and whether we agree with the principle, the overriding principle of whether play is very important in this area. I certainly do agree with that, and I think the findings here are quite sensible. The first thing that was similar to the last paper about teachers, and this study found that a positive attitude with ICT came about as long as there was self-belief. So that self-belief in people's ability with ICT was strongly linked with attainment through play activity. So we need to make sure that the children do develop this positive self-belief, but not just overall self-esteem, which talks about how they feel about themselves in general, but it's a very specific area about how they feel about themselves as far as working and playing with ICT, digital technologies is involved, which is quite a different matter. They found that the attainment of boys and girls was very similar, but some differences were emerging. The boys tended to have very high results and some of the very low results, but this is what they've found in gender studies, that the differences aren't all that significant in early childhood education, but they're there and they gradually become more and more. So it's important to make sure that we head off those changes as soon as possible, so that we don't end up with the current problems that we've got when we get to the higher ends of school, like year 11 and 12. Another thing that they found, another finding, was that play activity was found to be successful in developing aspects of ICT capability. So that's very important, that they found play actually did have a good role in making sure that the students were competent when they were playing with digital technologies. In fact, they found a whole lot of evidence around the fact that ICT capability is enhanced by play. And they talked about things like play and what play should be, and they talked about play being child-led and voluntary. So in some of the apps that you're looking at, the teacher might direct them to the app, but then often the apps have different parts, so it can be voluntary, what part the student's particularly interested in and what part they want to engage in and for how long. So in a sense, if you start them on an app and direct them to an app, that's not really voluntary, but there are lots of other voluntary aspects about it after that. They also found that it should be focused on the activity rather than the outcome. So when people are playing, it's what they're doing that's important, not necessarily what they end up with at the end. In your assessment piece, you need to show what students might come up with these apps, because we need to have that as part of it to show that you're engaging with it and thinking about what might be produced. But when we're talking about play and encouraging play in these environments with digital technology, just remember that voluntary thing's important, and also it's important that they enjoy the activity itself, and that takes precedence over what they actually produce. It also has to be low risk and highly engaging, and I'm sure from your exploration of these apps and software programs that many of them are highly engaging for young students, and when you see them working on it, for the people that have been out to prac or been working for quite a long time in early childhood centres, you'll know that some of these are particularly engaging for younger students. They also talk about allowing for combining previous knowledge and skills to extend knowledge. So when you present apps, if you can think about like a chain of apps that might build up skills and knowledge so that they can extend their knowledge, that's very important. And finally, they talk about things to do like focusing on what digital technology, no sorry, I'll start again. They say don't focus on what digital technology is in the children's home. They've found that that's not strongly linked, so don't think because, oh, this student doesn't have anything much in the home that they won't like the digital technologies or they won't become particularly competent with them. So it doesn't really matter. At home they might have lots of technology, but in the end the school can still make a great difference. They also say don't have expectations based on gender, so don't think because they're boys they might be able to do something in a different way or better than the girls can. That's very important. Encourage interaction between the learners during the activity, and very important that you stimulate reflection after the activity. So that's certainly not everything that's in the paper, but there's some of the key issues that I've picked out of that study. So I'll leave it up to you to read the paper well and then use that information to answer this week's discussion post.